I was watching the media coverage of Mrs. Jane's letter, and I was, moderately interested in that. But my ears pricked up when she said that her son was bleeding to death, and in the desert, and he died through lack of helicopters. And I thought, well, my son was bleeding to death in the desert, and he died through lack of helicopters. And then I thought, well, why haven't I had one of these letters? So I don't see how they did it, but the BBC did manage to make it look as if Gordon Brown was the victim. And that made me angry, because I see Mrs. Janes as the victim. I see her son, Jamie, as the victim. So I did complain. There was a knock on the door Friday morning, 8:30. I opened the door, and there's this chap there with a plastic envelope. And inside was 2 letters. One letter from a Mr. Hayward, Permanent Secretary, apologising for the delay in sending out this letter of condolence. And then there was this scribbled letter from Gordon Brown saying how sorry he was, and they came across as very hollow words. I felt, I know it was a sort of sad feeling that Jack died for his country, and 2 years later, I get a letter from the Prime Minister, who I hold responsible for my son's death anyway, because of the lack of support that the soldiers get out in Afghanistan. I just felt sad, really, that it had come to this, really. Might have been better if he hadn't sent a letter. If it came down to a game of shove halfpenny, where the players had to use campaign medals, none of the ministers in the cabinet would be able to play, because none of them have got any military experience. Our soldiers are really, I used to say up to their neck in muck and bullets. They're really in a poor situation out there. Gordon Brown has made too many misleading statements in the House. And actually, I looked up the word lying the other day, and in the Collins Dictionary, it says clearly that if somebody makes a statement where they set out to mislead, then that is lying. That's the definition. And Gordon Brown's forever trying to mislead the public with statements that aren't what they appear to be.